There's a man who spent 28 years driving the same delivery route in the same brown truck. He brought his own coffee in a thermos because the gas station stuff was a waste of $1.50. When he retired last spring, his supervisor threw him a small party in the break room, a sheet cake, a card everyone signed. Nobody at that party knew he was sitting on $1.4 million. Not his manager, not his coworkers, not even, for a long time, his own kids. 3 blocks away lived a man named Marcus who made almost double what that delivery driver made every single year for 2 straight decades. Marcus drove a truck too, except his was brand new every 3 years, financed, with a payment that followed him like a shadow. Marcus called it investing in how people perceive you. Last year, at 52, Marcus had $11,000 saved for retirement. Total. Same working class town. Same 2.5 decades. One man quietly became a millionaire. The other man is Googling, how late is too late to start saving at 11 at night. I'm Conae, and today we're figuring out why that gap exists. Not in a motivational poster kind of way. In a real, uncomfortable, slightly infuriating kind of way. Because once you see the actual mechanism behind it, you cannot unsee it. And I promise you it changes how you look at every paycheck you get for the rest of your life. Quick disclaimer before we go further. I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice. This is just what happens when you spend an unreasonable amount of time inside wealth data, instead of doing something healthier with your evenings. So let's start with the number that sounds encouraging and is actually a little bit of a lie. The average American household net worth is over $1 million. Genuinely. That's the real average. So by that math, you, statistically, are basically a millionaire already. Except almost nobody actually feels like a millionaire, and there's a reason for that. The median household, the one sitting exactly in the middle, richer than half the country, poorer than the other half, is worth closer to $200,000. Not 1 million. 200,000. That distance between the average and the median, that's not a rounding error. That's the entire story of this video hiding inside 2 numbers. Here's why they're so far apart. Averages fall apart the second the room gets lopsided. Picture 10 guys in a diner. 9 of them are regular working guys. Then Elon Musk walks in for a coffee. The average net worth at that table just rocketed into the billions. Not one of the other 9 people can suddenly afford to leave a bigger tip. The average lied. The median told the truth. Keep that lopsided diner trick in your back pocket, because it's going to come up again in this video more than once. The top 1% of households own roughly a third of all the wealth in this country. The bottom half own barely 2%. So when a headline says the average American is doing great, what it's actually describing is a small sliver of extremely wealthy people wearing the entire country like a costume. And it gets bleaker. Strip the home equity out of that median number, the money that's locked inside a house you still have to live in, that you can't exactly spend on groceries, and the real liquid cushion for the household sitting dead center in America drops to somewhere around $60,000 to $70,000. That's the whole safety net. That's it. So if the middle is that thin, how does someone actually get to the other side? Because millionaires are absolutely out there. Over 22 million of them in the US alone, more than any country on the planet. So something, for someone, is clearly working. Here's who they actually are, and I promise it's not who you picture. You're picturing Marcus. Inheritance, trust fund, some cousin who invented an app. Kill that image right now. The largest study ever done on American millionaires found that the overwhelming majority of them received 0 inheritance. None. First-generation wealth, built completely from scratch. And their jobs are almost insultingly ordinary. Engineers, accountants, teachers, middle managers. The person teaching your kid algebra is, statistically, more likely to retire a millionaire than a lot of people in flashier, higher-paying careers. A huge chunk of these millionaires never once earned 6 figures in a single year of their working life. Not once. What almost all of them had in common was an income. It was one specific, boring habit, repeated without fail for decades. And that habit is the actual point of this entire video. So let's talk about it directly. Income is not wealth. Those are 2 completely different things, and mixing them up might be the single most expensive mistake in personal finance. There's an old way of splitting people into 2 camps. The income statement rich and the balance sheet rich. The income statement rich look wealthy. Big salary, New truck, nice dinners out, the whole performance. But their actual net worth is nearly nothing because every dollar that comes in walks right back out the door. That's Marcus. He never had a money problem. He had a keeping money problem. The balance sheet rich look aggressively normal. Older car. Modest house. A brown thermos instead of gas station coffee. But their net worth is enormous because for decades, quietly, automatically, they kept a slice of everything that came in before they ever had the chance to spend it. Nobody at that breakroom party had any idea. Here's what that actually looked like in real time. Every couple of years, Marcus got a raise. And Marcus did what feels completely natural, which is let his life expand to swallow it whole. A $400 raise became a slightly bigger truck payment and a slightly nicer dinner rotation. By the following January, the raise was gone, absorbed, invisible, and Marcus genuinely could not tell you where it went. He did that, give or take, for 20 years straight. The quiet millionaire's raises were smaller. And every single time one landed, he did one almost embarrassingly boring thing. He bumped up one automatic transfer that pulled money out of his checking account the same day his paycheck hit, before he ever saw it, felt it, or missed it. Then he forgot it existed. That's the entire divergence, right there, $400 at a time. Now let's talk about the actual engine underneath all of this, because it's the whole ballgame, and it's the part people skip past because it sounds too simple to be real. Compounding. Over the last century, the broad U.S. stock market has returned somewhere around 10% a year on average before inflation, and roughly 7% after inflation takes its bite. You didn't need to pick some genius stock to get that number. You just needed to own the whole market and refuse to touch it. Let's do the actual math on becoming a millionaire from scratch. Starting at age 25, earning that same rough 7%, you'd need to invest a little over $400 a month to land at $1 million by retirement. Wait until 35 to start, and that number roughly doubles. Wait until 45, and you're looking at well over $2,000 a month to hit the same finish line. Same destination. Every decade you wait quietly doubles the toll, because you're stealing years away from the one ingredient compounding actually runs on. Time. And here's the cruelest detail about time in the market. The overwhelming majority of the market's best days land within days of its worst days. Investors who panic and sell during a crash almost always miss the rebound by a matter of hours, not months. The strategy that actually works is refusing to sell, and honestly, barely looking. Now, I could stop right here and wrap this up as a tidy little story about discipline and willpower. But that would be a lie, and you would absolutely smell it. Because for millions of people, the gap has nothing to do with discipline and everything to do with a system that quietly locked a door before they ever got close to it. Here's what I mean. That whole compounding machine, the workplace retirement account, the automatic contributions, the employer match, a huge share of full-time workers, particularly lower earners, simply don't have access to it at all. None. Meanwhile, the highest earners get it almost universally, plus the tax breaks that go with it. The single most powerful wealth-building tool in the country gets handed, most generously, to the people who already need it least. It's a government program handing out free umbrellas exclusively to the people already standing indoors. And underneath all of that, the ground itself has been quietly tilting for about 45 years. Wages for the typical worker have barely moved. Housing has ballooned relative to income. Healthcare has outrun paychecks completely. A home used to cost roughly 3 times the typical household income. Now it's closer to 6. The surplus that used to feed the compounding machine for previous generations has been steadily eaten alive by the basic cost of a roof and a body. You're not imagining that gap. It's real, and it's measurable. So if you've been sitting there this whole video with a quiet hum of shame, feeling like everyone else got a manual you were never handed, I need you to actually hear this part. You are not the problem. A thin savings margin is not a personal character flaw. It's the mathematical fingerprint of an economy where the essentials eat the paycheck before the paycheck ever gets a chance to build anything. Here's the strange, almost insulting twist sitting at the center of all of this. For the people who do have any margin at all, the actual recipe is stupidly simple. Buy a low-cost fund that owns basically the whole market. Automate the transfer so it happens before you can talk yourself out of it. And then do the single hardest thing a human being can do, which is nothing. Don't sell when it drops. Don't get clever. Don't try to outsmart it. That's the entire strategy the boat salesmen don't want printed anywhere near you. And if you're thinking, Coney, that's great for someone with extra room at the end of the month, but I don't have $400 just sitting around. You might be completely right, and that's the honest part nobody wants to say out loud. If the margin isn't there yet, the answer isn't to sit in shame about it. It's to know exactly what game you're actually playing, so that the moment there is margin, you're not wasting a single month of it. 28 years of refusing to let a life catch up to a paycheck. That's not a secret. It was never a secret. It's just boring enough that almost nobody bothers to actually do it. If this helped connect a few dots for you, subscribe to Conae Invests. I break down exactly this kind of thing every week. And let me know in the comments. Are you living like Marcus? Or are you quietly building something nobody can see yet? Be honest.